All right. Welcome, everybody. Darren, it's a pleasure to have you here. Um,
Hello.
what we're going to do here, folks, if you've been around to a workshop with Vision Labs before, leave a comment of what did you have for breakfast this morning, wherever you are in the world. Sometimes it's breakfast, sometimes it's dinner. Darren, what did you have for this breakfast morning? The pressing question we all have.
Okay, my pre-webinar breakfast was 3 cups of coffee, but I will say my coffee comes with copious amounts of oat milk and oat creamer. So, it's very dairy heavy or not, well, non-dairy, I guess.
Yes, I'm actually right there with you. Like we are running the exact same thing. I'm running 2 cups of coffee with like it's like collagen stuff that I add. So I drink straight black coffee, but it's like collagen or it's this like additive that makes it like way thicker and creamier. Would recommend. We're not here to schlep products, I promise, folks, but the oat milk
I was
in
going to say, look
combination
at
of
you
that.
all like bougie with your collagen.
All right. Awesome, folks. Well, welcome to the party. We're here live on YouTube and LinkedIn as well. So if you are here live on this thing or watching from there, we appreciate you wherever your eyes are coming in from. Before we hop in, folks, if you are interested, visionlabs.com, who we are, I'm the CEO over there. If you do have any of these symptoms, right, so you don't know what you're doing with your data, you can't trust your reporting, you're not sure if you're using your offline data for ads, or maybe you're all in one agency or your internal team is just missing something, go to visionlabs.com/contact. Let's have a conversation. Let's do an audit. It's super cool. 4 weeks. We run through everything from marketing strategy, technical access, reporting, live spec docs, everything that you could possibly imagine, we cover for you and can talk with your team through it. So there's the PSA for Vision Labs. And here we are going to hop right into the content with Darren. So Darren, I'm going to hand things over to you now. I'm going to be here to ask questions like I always do. And I'm going to let you convince me why we should be doing partnerships over at Vision Labs and anyone here listening, how they should be implementing it in their side as well.
All right. Well, first, thank you, JJ. I really, really appreciate this opportunity. And welcome to all those that are online. First, let me just do a quick introduction of myself, just so you kind of know why is this woman talking to us about this. So I have a long history, in particular in the e-commerce space, but even more broadly in working with and setting up partner programs, making co-marketing programs work. And I started all of this long before partner programs were such a big deal. And as a marketing person who saw opportunities with partners and bringing companies into my marketing programs. And then fast forward, sort of, you become the partner person. And I have subsequently set up partner marketing programs for fairly large companies and partner programs for small, medium, and large companies. So I come at this from lots of different views, right? From SaaS providers, from agencies, from a marketing perspective, from a sales perspective. So hopefully I can impart a bit of wisdom. In talking with JJ, we decided that we'd focus this particular webinar on service providers. But I think that it's important, and I'm just gonna, let me hope that this, okay, wait, I gotta click on here. Oh, there we go. Okay. We're going to focus on agency partners, right? So service providers, but everything that we talk about is good for SaaS providers and even for brands to be aware of. Because as a brand, right, you want to know, how do all these companies come together and why are they coming together? So this is just a look at sort of who's everybody involved here, right? And so by and large, you've got the brand or the client, who is everyone's priority, and everyone is in business to do right by the client, right? So all of these other companies, whether they're providing technology, whether they're providing a service, all need to come together in order to serve the brand. And I have this as the core of everything I do in partnerships. I know that it may sound trite. It is not. It is what is most important. And so when you're building partnerships, if you keep that in mind, are the companies that you're doing business with, are they the kinds of companies you want to do business with that are going to serve your clients in the way you want them served, with the technology that you want to use, with the services and the way they run their business, right? Are these all things that you want for your clients? And that is at the root of all of it. And if everyone is doing what they're doing in order to serve the client, everyone wins, especially the client. So I'm going to kind of jump through some slides here, but I want you, JJ, to interrupt me as we go through. If there's comments, we'll address them as we go through. This will sort of just keep our discussion moving forward.
Yeah, I think Darren, like just before you hop into that, like,
Yep.
can you just define like a partnership program of like, is it, hey, I pay you $10,000 to be in this program? Is it where the partner program is like, I'm gonna your referral partner list? Like, am I paying to be on a web page of recommendations? Is it like the classic affiliate links where I'm in the top 10 blog post? Like, what is it? What is a partner program, so that we can like at least start of like, hey, here's what the definition is from Darren.
So, and let me just, I'm trying to think if I should jump forward in some slides. I'm just going to leave this here for the moment, but we will address a lot of the details that go into building out that partner program. But in general, what is it? Honestly, it is literally relationships with the companies you want to do business with. Now, you brought up something that I think is very important, and that is affiliate links. In my mind, and other people might feel slightly differently, I'd be interested to hear. But for me, there's a difference between what you might do with an affiliate and what you would do with a true partner. It's not that affiliates aren't very, very valuable and worthwhile. But what happens with an affiliate link is I give somebody a link that they're going to use in content to drive traffic back to me, right? There's no personal branding associated with our relationship, if you will. So if you and I, JJ, are partners, we are going in this together. We're pulling our messaging together. We're ensuring that each of us wants to address this client in a particular way with particular values. So, I mean personal values, but I guess in some case it is. Whereas with an affiliate link, it's a lot more general, right? Lots of people can get a hold of that link and start to drive the traffic. So that's very valuable, but I see it as a bit different than partnerships. Also partnerships, and we're going to talk about this, when it comes to money, really there shouldn't be fees associated with it generally. And also, I would tell people anything that you're going to get out of commission or referral fees, think of that as icing on the cake to help fund your marketing. That's the way I look at it. There's lots of things, obviously, it depends on your business and what you need the ancillary funding for. But, most partners, if you're an agency, most technology providers will give you some sort of commission or referral fee for referring a client that closes, but it's never going to be something that's huge unless you're talking about a large platform provider. Then it might get a little more significant. I realize there's lots of variance in what I've just said, but by and large, I think keep in mind, this is about relationships that help you all do more business and fill your funnels. Is that kind of answer?
Yeah, I'll have more questions.
Okay.
I'll let you keep going here, and if anyone does have questions wherever you're watching, just feel free to comment them below. We'll stop wherever there are. If you have a specific use case of like, hey, here's my company or my software, like we can ideate here live on the fly. So back to you.
Okay, great. One of the biggest reasons to have a partner program is that for your company, no matter what it is, it should drive a significant amount of revenue, right? These relationships are all about, again, these things below. So if you have direct sales alone, they're human. They can only do so much, right? Whereas if you've got partners out there representing you as well, it's more feet on the street. It's just an obvious. One of the biggest benefits is boosted brand awareness. So if I'm an agency and I'm partnered with, 10 or 12 SaaS providers that I love to use, guess what? When I do things with them, I'm going to get that much more brand exposure because they probably have a way bigger ecosystem and audience than I do. The other thing, as I mentioned, was if I'm getting referrals and referral fees or commissions, I'm going to use that hopefully to help fund some marketing that I might not have the funding to do otherwise. And in the end, all of us are in this to help build that lead funnel. And even if a referral doesn't come directly from me to you or you to me, we're both hopefully engaging in activities that help build that funnel. And so in the end, if you look at statistics, agencies should be able to get 20 to 30% of their revenue from partnerships. If you're a SaaS provider, you should be doing a minimum of 30% of your revenue through partnerships. It's significant. And this is how, right, partner programs pay for themselves. Okay, getting started. So this kind of goes to what we were just talking about, JJ, and that is, I feel like you should avoid doing partners by the numbers, which means just signing up as an agency with every single company that you ever encounter. You need to think about whether that's representing you in the way that you want your company to appear to others, right? Make sure that you're doing business with the companies that you stand by as well for your clients. And the other thing that I thought of in this getting started portion is, don't think that you should only align yourselves with some of the biggest players in whatever vertical you're in. Some startup SaaS companies are great partners because they're hungry, they're eager, they're willing to invest with you, they're willing to do programs with you. Whereas if you're a partner with a very large technology provider, you, as a small or medium-sized agency in particular, might have a hard time getting attention. And so aligning with some smaller companies you believe in may be a way to really get out to market with some nice joint solutions.
So what do you do? Like, I guess here's a selfish question, and if anyone else has questions, I'm going to keep asking because I want to know selfishly. So here we are an agency, right? We have most of our leads come from inbounds. We do YouTube videos. We have a pretty significant blog. We have a pretty significant content like footprint as far as, hey, here guys, like here's a resource. Like we want to be a resource to the internet. I get reached out to probably once a week from some software company that if they're heard of in adjacently or like I've never used them, and they're like, hey, let's hop on a call to partner. And I'm like, I'll tell you my response, and then you let me know like what should they do? What should I do? I tell them, hey, if you would like, you can sponsor our YouTube channel. Like I'll sell you an ad sponsorship and we'll do a blog post with the YouTube video. And it is clearly a sponsorship. That's my like go-to response. I think only one company's ever taken us up on it. And then they backed out after like legal compliance or whatever else was happening. And so that's my go-to response is I'm like, I've never used your software. I know who you are. Like I know the like it's not like, oh, I've never heard of you before. And that's my go-to response because I like don't want to put in the effort of like I'm not going to try new software to try to change how we're doing things. So what is your recommendation on that to both of them, like a software provider, and me, the agency side of things?
Okay, so one of the things for agencies is if you're an agency and you're listening, and this is what you just said too, JJ, that is, you're probably getting hit up constantly, right? And in the end, I see why a technology company would not want to off the bat just sponsor the YouTube channel, because they should want that relationship first. They should want to make sure that this is something that's going to, again, represent their solution and serve them well. Just like you, I would warn, should be cautious of engaging with a company that you may not know enough about, but who's willing to pony up some dollars to sponsor something, because in the end, your name is still associated with it, right? And so you could get a company who doesn't operate in a manner in which you feel comfortable about. Like, for example, I've had a situation before where there was a company who basically operated by bad mouthing the competition a lot. Well, I don't want to do business with companies like that. I don't agree with that approach. Everyone should stand on their value, not on bashing the competition. So if someone like that came to you and said, I want to sponsor your YouTube channel and I've got this content, if I were you, I'd think twice about even allowing that to happen, right? So I do also feel like agencies should be open to these emails that are hitting them, because you never know if one of these companies has something that you really may want to look at, right? They may have a solution that will serve you and your clients really well. It's the only way they have of getting in, or it's not the only way, but it's one of the best ways they have of getting in front of you. I'm working with a client right now who is engaging in cold outreach to a lot of agencies. And it's taken us a lot of time and care in creating the email sequence that we're going out with, because we want to make sure we're hitting them with all of the things we think are going to be valuable to them, right? So in the end, look at those things and see, is there someone I should talk to?
Yeah, I've got thoughts, but I'll give it back to you. We can have more thoughts later. But
no, of course. And so I'm going to actually hold on a second. Well, okay, let's go back. So let's just assume that now you've decided, right? Like, as an agency, I'm going to do business with these technology providers. I've got the relationship going. Now, how do you stand out, right? How are you going to get their attention? And again, it really varies. So for example, right, if you are a partner of Shopify's or Klaviyo's, and this is no statement on them and their partner programs at all, but they're huge, right? They're very large and they have thousands of partners. So if you're a smaller brand, how do you stand out? If you are doing business with a smaller technology provider, how do you make sure that you become maybe one of their premier agencies and get more attention, right, than others? This is going to be a constant challenge. I would say that one of the things you have to make sure you're doing is staying top of mind. You always have to stay top of mind. And so that means making sure that provider is having a regular meeting with you. It could be quarterly, it could be twice a year. It might not be, you may not need something more than that, but make sure that you do have something regular scheduled with them so that you are getting in front of them. You are showing them that you're dedicated to the partnership. You want to learn more about what they're up to, and so that they learn about what you're up to and how they can work with you. And it's really important for referrals, which we'll talk about, because if they don't know how you might have grown your business, how you may have added a new service or a specialty, right? How are they going to be able to flag that when their salespeople and customer support people are talking to clients? Offer them value. One of the biggest things that you can do is to initiate co-marketing. And JJ, you said this is probably the biggest thing for you, is getting out there with content. And if you get out there providing content and education for whatever your ecosystem is with partners, it just is a force multiplier, right, for that exposure that you're going to get. And so be bold, right? Ask them what you can do with them. Share your expertise as much as possible. You have expertise they don't, and share that and make it valuable to their clients and their ecosystem. And I say here, get involved in joint marketing that may feel big for you. So if you're a smaller agency, you may feel like some things are only for the biggest agencies. Don't be afraid to ask a partner if you can co-sponsor something that you've come up with or that you see that they're doing. You never know. And the more you're showing that interest in being part of their marketing, the more that they'll think of you. Either that, maybe it's not for that time, but maybe it's for something that comes down in the future. And so what these co-marketing efforts, they're the typical things all of you are probably thinking about, right? Webinars like this and articles, social campaigns, all of that. The most beneficial are always case studies. And for an agency, I want to remind you, remember, you're the one that has the most important relationship with the client. So the technology provider is focused on one area of what that client needs. Whether you're a marketing agency, a design and development firm, whatever you're doing, you're looking at that client in a broader perspective. And so the value you bring to a case study is significant. And I would say then also, if you can get them to partner up with you on case studies, again, there's that way to get broader reach for what you've done with that client. And obviously that technology provider or providers are going to be part of the case study in that case. The other thing is we'll talk about here, and it's a little bit of, I'm going to jump to something. So I'm going to pause for a moment to see if you have any questions, AJ, just on co-marketing and these relationships, because I'm going to get into infrastructure and what you need to make sure you're doing. Because once you're starting to get leads and once you're starting to work with partners, if you don't have any infrastructure in place, it's all for naught.
Yeah. So I think there's two things. One is approaching it from two different ways. Like there's two softwares, for example, that we use a lot. One is kind of geared more for like down market of like they kind of sell to developers, and they have a free tier that is very generous. They have a lot of free accounts, but we pay them, like amongst all of our clients, probably like $5 to $8K a month. Like that's like how much revenue we're sending them on a monthly basis, and we're handling the implementation, all the things of that, right? On the other end of that, we have another software that we use that it's very much enterprise. The starting point is, I think, like $400 per month, and that gets you like almost nothing. And then it's like most people are spending $700 to $1,000 a month to like just have this software, and it's geared more towards enterprises. Like I think Starbucks is like one of their customers, for example.
Okay.
And I think it'd be very interesting of like, hey, like these two different situations that we are both, like we're an agency, we pay them or recommend our clients to pay them. Mm-hmm. And how do you approach that from their side? Like, is there a size that you shouldn't even worry about it? Or is there a size that you should reach out and say, hey, this could be of value to you? I think that's something maybe we do this at the end of like, what would that co-marketing look like if I were to approach it, or if they were to approach us? We might be a small fish in a big pond. Like, who knows how much $8,000 a month in recurring revenue is to a really big company? It's probably not a lot. And I think that's just like a scenario we could run through maybe towards the end of like, let's just use us as a case study and like, let's just ideate on that together. So I'll put that in the back of your head to like marinate while you kind of go through. Because I think that's really interesting. I think people really do like the actual like practical, like let's kind of figure out what's a path to do that.
Right. And you're talking about, so you have small SaaS provider, large SaaS provider, or, enterprise, right? Small. Yeah. And you're saying, how do you as that agency, is the challenge really, how do I get in front of that enterprise SaaS provider to get some attention from them?
Yeah, I think like in both ways, like we're sending them business,
Hmm.
right? And we're the kind of point of contact. They might not even see us in their actual like ledger. Like they might not even
Hmm.
see like Vision Labs because we're the ones recommending it. And so
Hmm.
I'd think like, hey, like what's the game plan for us as an agency to say let's do co-marketing. I love
Hmm.
marketing. Um, to make it worth it of like, hey guys, let's just do a webinar. Let's do what's the thing so that
Hmm.
we become a recommendation for them. They might even know we exist
Hmm.
on both ends of the
Yeah.
spectrum.
Yes. Okay. And one of the things that, so let's go ahead and talk about it, because for the smaller company, it's going to be a whole lot easier to get attention, right? And also the other cool thing for you is that on that smaller company, that SaaS provider, you're getting services revenue, which is fantastic as well. That makes them super valuable to you, not just to your because you like their product for your clients, but because you're also getting services revenue out of it. So for them, it's probably a lot easier to get attention. They're going to essentially rely on you as much as you're going to rely on them, because they also, I would imagine, significantly value the deals you're bringing them, right? The clients you're bringing them. When you're one of 1,000 or more agencies for a more enterprise size um, SaaS provider, it does get harder. However, I would say that if you go back to the fact that you have unique expertise and you're the one that knows probably more about a particular client than they do as well. So you know about the challenges that that client was facing. You know intimately how their software has helped solve that challenge. I would suggest approaching them with that sort of tact, because you're coming to them with something that they wouldn't be able to necessarily do without you, right? And um, the other thing here is I would assume they're giving you some sort of referral fee or commission or something. And again, if you can say, okay, I'm going to use that money to help build out a marketing campaign with you, right? Now you're putting some skin in the game that you probably wouldn't be able to otherwise, and you wouldn't even think to do if you didn't have that little extra money, if it's possible. I mean, I know some companies may just need that money for operating revenue, but if it's possible, I would use it back towards them, right? And show them I'm using the money that I've earned from your referrals back into helping both of us build more business together.
Got it. Yeah.
So infrastructure, this becomes very important, because you don't want to start going down this whole path of building a lead funnel, getting leads together, having things come in, and then not being able to follow up properly and track everything properly. And so there's a few elements, and I probably shouldn't have put this under co-marketing, but let me first deal with, from a co-marketing perspective, don't fill and forget, right? So that means, look, and I see this happen all the time. Don't bring leads in and then do people usually will do one follow-up, right? Thanks for downloading, thanks for attending, whatever, and then nothing more. Well, by the way, that's never getting looked at. And so remember to put some sort of nurture sequence in place so that you're following up with those leads. It may take 6 months or more for any of the people that paid attention to you through that co-marketing program to think, oh, I think I saw something from that company, and yeah, who was it? And suddenly you show up again in their inbox or on their LinkedIn or whatever in their Google search. So make sure that you're following up over time, because most of the time these things do take time. Um, the other thing is, on an infrastructure side, make sure that you're able to track your partners and what they're doing with you. And so part of this is around identifying them as your partner in your CRM and what kind of partner they are. Maybe you're going to track whether you've been doing co-marketing with them. If you're an agency, you need to track. And I don't know, JJ, if you've been in this position, but with the couple you have, and that some of the agencies out there have a number of SaaS providers that are partners, you have to keep track of all of their portal logins and what you've got to do to get a deal referral commission. And, so there's a lot of logistics that you have to keep track of. So figure a way of doing that. There's actually a new solution out there. I don't want to give endorsements of things, but that I thought was really clever because it's actually for agencies. It's like a partner portal for agencies to keep track of all this stuff. Most partner portals are built in the opposite, for SaaS companies to keep track of all of their agencies. I mean, they can go either way, but they tend to be built in the reverse. And there are lots of great partner portal softwares out there. And they come in all different shapes and sizes and prices. So you just have to figure out what's best for you. Or you can probably, if you're an agency, you probably can just use your CRM and a spreadsheet or something.
The bane of my existence has always been those partner portals. Oh my gosh. That almost like turns me off of like not wanting to be a partner is the second that someone's like, submit the deal in this partner program. I know. Let me not do this. Like if you give me an email of like, say, hey, email partners@website.com, anybody you send our way, and we'll just add it to your account, count me in. But if you're like, go register, I probably have like over 20 partner accounts.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you do have a whole bunch.
I have probably 20 of them. We don't do like a massive volume. Like we're a mid-sized team. So it's not like I'm like every day like, but like it's a nightmare on my end, like to try and figure out like, who do I send? This person's like, email this Susan, and this person's like, go fill this form out. And the other person's like, go register it on our thing that you forgot your login password. So if anyone can solve for that, my gosh, it's the nightmare. I know
I feel you. And I've been on both sides of it. I can tell everyone out there that is an agency that from the SaaS provider's point of view, they have to have ways to track everything. And that ends up being the partner portal. I can't tell you how many times I would get the request, can't I just email you? Can't I just put it in Slack? I was like, I'm so sorry. But if I have to do everything to keep track of all the deals, that's all I would be doing all day. So I get it from both sides. It is a pain, but it's for good reason. And so you do have to keep track of what those logins and requirements are if you want those referral fees. Now you may find, don't really care, or maybe you do it like you ask the partner, because at least I was always pretty generous with the amount of time you would have to go ahead and refer something, so that maybe if you came in every few months or once a quarter and said, okay, I referred all these deals, right? And maybe they would allow you to do that. The risk with that is that for the SaaS provider, so you may not be the only agency working with a client, and there could be multiple agencies referring them to the same bit of software. So you might lose out. You take that risk, but it might be worth it to you not to have to go in constantly and register those deals. I feel you. I don't have an answer for it, other than it is a necessary evil. The other thing is, for on the infrastructure side, I would say that if you're an agency, it gets really hard to validate, or to financially support having a partner manager. So you may have someone else that can serve that role. Maybe it's a salesperson. It could be you as the founder, right? You're owning those relationships anyway. So you're that person. And then once it starts to build up enough and you're busy enough, like you're saying, like, I've got 20 partners and I can't keep up with this. Maybe there is somebody that takes that on, at least part-time for you. The advantage of having that partner manager is that my earpiece fell out, is that they are also managing all of the incoming inquiries, so they can sort of vet them first before you as the founder are seeing them and saying, hey, this looks pretty interesting. Do you think it's worth us having a meeting with them, right? And to just do all of the administrative work, to do the check-ins, to make sure, right, that you're staying top of mind and figuring out how to get referrals from them. The SaaS provider will always want you as the agency to be educated on their product, but do your best to make sure that their team is getting educated on your services as well. And that often gets overlooked. Now, they may not be able to give you time in front of their sales team and their customer success team, but at least ask them to be able to distribute some content, share recorded video of what you're all about, something, so that you at least have some ability to get in front of those folks and make sure they know about you, because when they're talking to their clients, they're going to hear, hey, do you have anyone that can do XYZ? Oh, yeah, we do. Hey, let me go ahead and put you in touch with our partner manager or our founder or whatever, and they can tell you about the partnerships that we have. The biggest thing is getting leadership buy-in. So if you are the founder, you're like, okay, well, why should I care? And if you're trying to convince the founder or CEO at your company why they should care about building out a partner program, these are the things that you should focus on. And the first and foremost is that it's a significant revenue driver. And this goes more for SaaS providers than agencies, because they're typically getting referrals regardless of whether they've had a partner program or not. But I would say don't focus on what has happened, but rather where you see the potential. And so for an agency, I think there is big potential in trying to formalize these relationships and getting more out of them. Typically, for you as the agency, it could mean getting an increased deal size, and that for you might mean, hey, how does that result in more services for you? Maybe it's implementation, maybe it's ongoing maintenance, whatever, right? Obviously, it all depends on that software and all that, but there could be bigger deal potential for you by bringing in these other products and having those formalized relationships. And the other thing that I think helps is having these relationships can show clients that you are a trusted partner and advisor, right? You have these relationships. And I know that a lot of companies, when like brands, for example, if they're vetting a couple of different agencies, same goes for SaaS providers, they're vetting you and your competitor, they may go on and see, who do you work with? Who are your partners? It provides validity in their eyes of your place in the ecosystem. And again, helping fund some co-marketing. So in the end, the things that I would say to acknowledge about partnerships is, yes, it is a fair amount of work, but in the end, it can be a significant growth lever and drive significant revenue. I believe that by having these relationships, you will have a bigger voice in your ecosystem than you would alone, hands down 100%. So your ability to drive new leads is bigger with your partners than if you're going it alone all the time. And the other thing that I would say is, do pay attention to infrastructure early on. Like with any data project, if you think about what you're going to need from the start and you try to build that way, you'll be way better off than if you're trying to go back retroactively and update your CRM and implement something in hindsight, right? It just makes it more difficult. Yeah, so that's it. I welcome your questions.
Yeah, if anybody has questions, drop them in about either your scenario, if you're on like the provider side or on the software side, of kind of like if you have any questions. There is a really cool comment. Alex in the comments said that I've seen a company gather almost 5,000 or 50,000 in sponsorships for one of their summits just because they're willing to reach out to their partners.
Mhm.
And so there's some proof in the pudding right there, folks, on that
Mhm.
working. So I think that's it. Let's use a real world example here, if you're willing to spend a couple minutes on
Yeah.
a selfish consult, as if I may.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's this software that we use that we've built a lot of marketing for. So if you Google implementation of like insert software implementation, insert software agency implementation, we are top 5 results in Google
Oh, great.
search
Wow.
for them. They probably don't know we exist at all. They just raised like $70 million on like a Series B, whatever. So like they're big. Just to put context, they've just raised Series B. They have a billboard in San Francisco. There we go. There, if you want to figure that out, anybody, you can figure who they are. And so yeah, I'm just kind of curious. Like as a small, like we've gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've done 6 implementations recently.
Oh my God.
In total, like in the last, I don't know, maybe month and a half, 2 months.
Oh, wow.
And we have done 6 implementations. Probably combined total, I'd say like they're probably $4,000 a month of like recurring revenue that we've added to them, just because like if I add up like, hey, 6 and like averaging some bigger, some little. So I would selfishly like to do some type of co-marketing with them because
Mhm.
they're big and they've raised money and their product is really genuinely pretty good. And we make a lot of recommendations to use them. And people are like, who? Like, we don't know there. So that's where we sit. Would
Yeah.
love any ideas, like how would you go about that from our end? While people ask comments or they're of like, hey, we're an agency, we implement this software alongside others and go from there.
So do you have a partner manager at that company or no?
No, they don't even know we exist. Like, I kid you not. Like, we
Oh,
just
okay.
sign up.
Literally, like, okay.
Like, we just sign
So,
up. We just do the thing. We just have made content about them on the internet.
okay. So first, then I would say you need to find out who your point of contact should be. So if you go on LinkedIn or ask, around and you find out they've got a partner program, find out who,
They
right?
don't have a partner program. They only have like a head of sales. And that's like any blog post where it's like talking about agencies or whatever else. They just say, reach out to
Uh-huh.
sales.
Uh-huh.
And so that's it. That's all I've got.
Wow. Okay. That makes it a little more challenging because now you're trying to get in front of a head of sales who's getting a million emails a day or LinkedIn, requests or whatever. However, you have the key here, which is in a Google search, you're showing up top. So you have now become very important to them, right? Because you are basically through Google search being aligned with them. This is significant for them, right? And they should know about it. And the other thing is, obviously, you would want to let them know about all of the deals that you've got going through. So if there's anyone at the company that you've ever had connection with, support, client success, I don't care if it's accounting, try to find a name so that you can get that in front of them and say, hey, this
Yeah.
is who we are. We are important because of for these reasons, right? And I would really love to do something with you guys. In the meantime, I'm benefiting from riding on these coattails. This is all goodness for me, but how about we make this joint?
Yeah. So, okay. That's what I'll do then. What I'm going to try and do here is I'm going to like figure out who that salesperson is, send them a message, say, hey, we have this. Also, like, I think it's a pretty good thing if you Google like implementation for it, like we're top page of that. and we're
Yeah,
also
I
some of
show
the
them
only.
screenshots of that and
Yeah,
like, hey, I thought you would probably want to know this and know about me because
yeah.
we're clearly playing an important role in your business.
There we go. I'm going to take the spotlight off of me, and we've got a question here. I would love to hear just again off the cuff thoughts here, Darren. Akar says we provide ERP, B2B SaaS to food and beverage industry. They want to start a partnership program in the UAE market. Can you guide how we get started? Top 5 things to get sorted first. That's what we've got to go off of here.
Okay. So you obviously want to start with some agencies, and you'd have to do, right? You'll have to do some research, and it's not that difficult to do in your space, right? Who are the agencies doing ERP implementations for UAE? There, I will say, great thought and opportunity because there's a lot of growth going on right now in UAE. There are a lot of agencies popping up. So I think it's great, but also consider agencies that are outside of the outside of UAE, but in maybe Europe who are addressing UAE, and you'll see those as well in obviously in your vertical. The first thing, though, is to do that research and find out who these people are. Put it out there in your ecosystem, right? Find out. It shouldn't be that hard. You may also have some existing partners that would want to get into UAE, and maybe you can leverage them to build that business together. The one there. Culturally, there are some things you'll probably want to just be aware of, but they're not big. I've done business in UAE and with UAE agencies, and it's really like very little barrier. So I think, don't get overwhelmed by any of that. Yeah, I would say if you've got a partner program already and you're working with agencies, start with them and see if there's anyone that maybe they already are addressing that market and you don't even know about it.
Super. Yeah, I think that's super helpful. Basically, what I've gathered here, Darren, here's my synopsis of your of your of your presentation. Not to oversimplify, is one, you got to figure out who you're talking to. And
Mhm.
then 2, figure out what's valuable to them if you're the one who's like, you think that you're reaching up, right? Of like, say, for example,
Exactly.
like in the case of like, we're reaching up to a company that's raised $90 million or $70 million in like Series B. So like obviously more bigger than us because we're an agency that's bootstrapped.
Right.
And so you figure out who they are, figure out like their value of like what they're trying to do, of like, hey, they're trying to get more implementations of their software, or in Akar's example is they're
Mhm.
trying to get more people on the distribution side. So they have to research and figure out who would be the people to be on the distribution. And then I think the third piece that like you kind of didn't explicitly mention, but maybe this is like in the same vein, is what do you actually do together? So like maybe you have the
Mhm.
pitch of like, let's do a joint workshop, or maybe we should do like an implementation station will
Mhm.
help you with this, or and have a good pitch of like what do we do, as opposed to putting the brain power on the person you're asking of like, hey, would love to support, let me know what I can do. And like, I don't know, like I never thought about this before.
And that's going to totally fall on deaf ears. And you hit on probably one of the most important things, and that is before you have that conversation, figure out what you're offering for what's in it for them. That's what everybody wants to know, right? What's going to be in this for me? How is this going to benefit me? On the reverse, I will tell you one thing that no matter what kind of partner program I'm setting up for, like whatever kind of company, the one thing I will always avoid is a company whose first comment or question to me is around commissions. Because if that is their primary focus, they're missing the point. And so I go back to make sure these are companies who are going to provide value to your clients or your prospective clients, who you want to do business with. And to your point, JJ, figure out how you are going to provide benefit and value to them. And as an agency, there's a lot of ways that you provide value to any SaaS provider.
I think one thing, this is from my days in college of this was like the thing that I learned that I took away the most from my communications class. I was a communication major in college and marketing, all that jazz. The thing I remembered that this was like the most interesting thing to me in my entire collegiate career was this one nugget from this one teacher who said, in interpersonal relationships and in business relationships, the person who cares the least has the most power. And I find that true in my entire life. Of the person who cares the least always has the most power. And so I think that's really interesting to like think of in this partnership thing of like, I just got a DM an hour ago from a software provider saying, hey, let's hop on a call and like talk about partnerships. Mm-hmm. And I'm over here like, I don't want to spend an hour talking to you personally. Mm-hmm. I don't care. If you were to say, hey, I'll give you $500 to sponsor your YouTube channel for a video, I'd be like, cool, let's hop on a call and like, I don't even know what your software does. Like, explain it to me and like, let's talk through it. But I don't care personally. I'm not going to even, I'll respond to them and say, hey, I don't really want to use your software. I've never heard of you. I don't know what's happening. But like, I'm the one who doesn't care. On the reverse side, the software company that I'm going to reach out to because we do work for, like, they probably don't care. Right. And I think that's a good relationship that like, you always have to remember of whoever cares the least has the most power. And I think that's really true in just in life, but also in relationships that are interpersonal relationships.
I think, yes, I do not disagree with that. It would be hard not to, it would be hard to disagree with that, right? Along those same lines, very often too, he with the most money is going to dictate how these things go. You got to try to figure your way around that. That's putting, there again lies the agency that's trying to get the attention of some big player, right? So yes, you are correct. And I think that if you can show where that inherent value is to them, you've now started to cross that line so that, oh, maybe they do care. Maybe they maybe it is worth listening, right? You at least get them to think, oh, should I care about you? Wait, what are you talking about? So to me, that's success for that sort of relationship, right? If you get them to at least perk up and start to listen, now you can go drive it home and show them how this relationship can be of value. Yeah, but I agree with you. There's no denying that.
Yeah. And like, again, if it's financial as well, like if you ask if you ask someone who has lots of money, they don't care. Like, I don't care about money. Right. Like, and like, that might be the thing where it's like, hey, we're so big, like your $1,000 deal doesn't really matter to us. Right. And they care less. And so again, you have to go after something that they do care about, of like the brand or reach or whatever else the things are.
I'm gonna use a funny example, and in kind of closing, and I'm gonna use the name of the company because I don't think they'll mind, and everyone will be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So I had a relationship with Meta for a company, and it took over a year to get that going. It's not easy, right? It takes a lot of time and effort and persistency and blah, blah, blah. And getting in front of them and showing them that we meant business, showing them that we were going to step up, showing them that if they came to us with something, I'd be like, Johnny on the spot. Yep, I got you. I'm ready. That we were talking about the types of co-marketing, and I'm thinking, oh my God, it would be amazing to have them sponsor this thing we're doing. And they said, yeah, Darren, I don't need you we don't need to go to your event and show people who Meta is. It's really not a thing for us. It's not important. Everyone knows who we are, not going to benefit us. And it was such sort of a, it made me turn and think, oh my God, of course not. Like, right. And I thought more in that case about what they could do for me and how amazing it would be for Meta to have a little booth at my thing, right? Then the reverse, and me saying, how can I provide you value? And when I started to switch that thought process and present them with ways in which we had a unique value and specialty that we could present to the ecosystem that would ultimately benefit them sort of downstream a little bit, then they were like, now that makes more sense.
Yes, exactly. So it's, again, whoever cares the least has the most power, and then figure out what they care about, and then there you go. That's how you're in.
Exactly. So, exactly.
Guys, Darren, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Hopefully this workshop has been enlightening to anybody, either on the service provider side, on the software side, or anywhere else. And if anyone is like, hey, let me know how I can build a program, don't ask me because I'm asking the questions. Go contact Darren and she'll help you out and get you sorted on what you should, shouldn't, or could be doing. So without any further ado, folks, that was it. Thank you so much for joining this Vision Labs workshop, and we will see you around.
Thank you so much, JJ. Thanks to everyone that came on.